Thank you for receiving me, first of all. Um, Before I start talking about PLAs, I just want to first give you a little bit context about what PLAs means in the means of advertising at the moment. We come a long way since like static advertising, like the huge blackboards, companies used to fight for the best spot, wherever, like it was static advertising that was winning at the moment. Until internet came and gave us the possibility of target our customers, like real life targeted customers, the one that we really want to obtain. And those came with promo text ads. And those were really cool a few years ago. Because if you think about it, like when people search for products, they want to see image. Like human nature is very visual, so we want to see image to go a little bit about the risk. Because when you look at the text, they're not even actually looking to a product. So PLAs that's what it brings the next step on advertising. So what product listing ads allow you to do is basically to showcase all your products on the search queries. And even if it's sponsored, if you notice, there's always a link saying it's sponsored. It's not produced by our algorithm. It only appears with relevant queries, and it's really nice to showcase your products. So until now, we received a lot of nice results from PLAs. We receive better click-through rates, like the click-through rates comparing to Promotex ads are amazing. We have much better quality and conversion rates because as it is a more visual product, it can be more final to the customer because when the customer goes to a promo text ad, he never know what he's gonna get and probably he's gonna come back because that wasn't what he was looking for. And the lead now is much better because the customer knows what he's getting into. The targeting is much easier. There's no need to put like thousands of keywords and make studies to search what's better for your customers anymore because Google will do that for you. Taking the information that you have on your data feeds and looking at the customers that you want to obtain, Google will create the queries that will trigger basically your ads. You don't have to do it anymore. And also there's the increased exposure because you can be present at both ways. You can be present on the promo text ads and on the PLAs. So where is PLA available at the moment? PLA is available on Google Search and Google Shopping, and Google Shopping being that image that you have on your right. There is like a platform that works as a search comparison engine. It's only present on the United States, Czech Republic, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, Australia, Spain, Italy, Japan, and Brazil. Then we have the Google search complete on Russia, Canada, and India, what means complete. We're not only on desktop, but we're also on mobile and tablets. Sweden is not on mobile and tablet at the moment. That will be the next step. For now on, we're only on desktop. And this is the reason why we're here today. We launched recently 8 new countries, being Sweden one of them, and we're opening doors for everyone that wants to advertise in our new countries. Please feel welcome. So let's talk a little bit about PLAs. Basically, my presentation today will go through all these phases. We'll talk a little bit how to set up a data feed, how to work a little bit with the Merchant Center. Then we'll make like a small break, just don't you don't get fed up with me. And then we'll go to the AdWords optimization side on the second half. So we have to look at PLA from two perspectives. We have to look at the Merchant Center, how to set up a data feed, what to include on your data feed, Merchant Center settings, and then we can go to the AdWords because we'll have to link your Merchant Center to the AdWords account and then start optimizing your campaigns. So, Merchant Center. These are the steps that you're gonna have to make to every client that you want to set up on PLAs. Create your Merchant Center account, verify and claim your website URL, very important. Create a product data feed, register your data feed, upload your data feed, and then the last one would be to link the AdWords account with the Merchant Center. So to create your Merchant Center account, pretty straightforward. Just go to www.google.com/merchants. One quick advice over this please use the same email login as you're using in the AdWords account that you're gonna target that merchant center, because otherwise, if you're an agency and you're dealing with like tons of customers, you're gonna probably forget about some passwords of some emails because it gets too big for you. So please try to use the same emails because it's easier for everyone. You don't have to recover passwords and go to the product team, complain about it. It's much easier for you. Uh, Verify and claim your website URL. A warning about this, you can go and claim your URL on the Webmaster Tools, but the owner of the Webmaster Tool claim has to be an administrator on the Merchant Center. That's what proves that those product listings that you're submitting are yours. Otherwise, everyone could submit your own products, and basically competition could do that to harm your reputation or something like that. So to have a shared user on both Webmaster Tools and Merchant Center, that's what proves that you're the owner of those product listing ads. And that's really important because if you lose the shared owner, you're gonna lose the right to go to PLAs and your campaigns are going down. So let's start with building a feed. So the mindset that I'm looking for today to put on you is basically to look at the web page. That's what we normally start working with. And with the mindset of transforming a web page on a data feed. As we can see, we're looking now at a web page, and I just highlighted the characteristics that we can get from this web page to attributes that we're gonna use on the data feed. So a little bit back to the basics. A data feed is a file containing a list of products that you sell online on your PLA's campaign. We use a lot of attributes. These would be some of the more important: title, description, price, and availability. And there are some different types of attributes. We have the customizable ones where you're gonna have to adapt to your customer and write wherever you want. But we also have the standard value one that basically you can use the values that we provide on the help center. And any other value that you provide on that attribute won't work. And your products basically are gonna be disapproved because of that. And you won't be able to show them on PLAs. And then we also have the required attributes and the recommended attributes, but we'll talk a little bit later about that. So these would be like the universal attributes that we always ask in all the countries: ID, title, description, price, link, image link, condition, and availability. This can never miss on your product data feeds. Otherwise, these products will be invalid. They won't show on PLAs. The recommended are just important because of the other reasons that we're gonna talk about. It's not just to annoy you, but it's really important for your performance on PLAs. So you have two options to go with your data feed. Either you can build a text data feed, which is easier to start maybe because basically it's just like creating a spreadsheet or an Excel sheet as you prefer. And basically it's just putting attributes on the header and then filling up with your products. That might be useful if you don't have that many coding skills, or if you want to just have a look, have a peek on PLAs. That's a good way to start. Just a quick note, we don't accept the XLS format. So even if you're filling the spreadsheet, yeah, make sure that at the end you save it as a CSV or a TXT. We don't accept XLS, and that happens a lot, that error.
How quickly can you update this feed?
If you go on a manual upload, you can do it whenever you want. But those products, when to be uploaded, they will take a few hours. I would say 3 to 4 hours to go live to update all the information. But you can manual upload it whenever you want. Okay. So XML, it just is more customizable, allows you more. If you have the necessary coding skills, it will be easier also to maintain it because, for example, you can just download it as a SAV of your own web page. But if you don't have it, TXT is also a good option if you don't have those skills. So the TXT file will look like this. Basically, the column header will have all the attributes that are required from you or the ones that you want to put, because you can put also some extra attributes. And then The bottom columns would be filled with your products by ID. And this is what the XML file looks. It's a little bit different. You have to mark up the version of XML that you're using. You'll use the tags to differentiate your items between the angle brackets. But this has two things. It's much easier to troubleshoot for you, and it's much easier to maintain. Because if you have an automatic process of maintaining your inventory, that's more scalable than being always manually updating it.
Sorry, so if we do it that way, it will basically update if any changes are made on the site.
You can make it automatically to update with the information of your website if you have the skills for it, and that is much easier for you. Yeah. So let's go on an example. The mindset that I'm looking here today is just to look at this nice web page and transform it into this. To be able to spot all the attributes that you need to transform them into a data feed that Google Shopping recognizes for you. So when you are building a text feed, we already seen how it is. There might be a lot of questions that come up to you because it's not that straightforward when you're building a data feed for the first time, especially because every search engine comparison has different attributes. So it's totally understandable that you have a lot of questions. So you should go to our feed specification help center page. That is really, really important. It's like the web page that we keep updating, and we're always worried that it complies with everything that we are doing at the moment. Like this should actually be your best friend if you're working on shopping. It should be your number one bookmark because it's always updated and it's very comprehensive, and you'll see how every attribute works here. Just a few tips. If you want to start now and you don't have that experience with Google Shopping, what we advise is like just start simple. Maybe start with a small sample of your best products, a small sample, and try to work on it. And then as you get more comfortable with the product, you'll probably find a longer term solution that will be easier for you to maintain and to manage. So feed specifications. It's really important just to keep it here that every 30 days the information that you have on your Merchant Center expires. So you should at least re-upload your feed every 30 days. But that's not advisable at all because you should actually submit it every day because your information of your merchant is going to change a lot. As merchants are dynamic, prices are dynamic, availability is dynamic. And if we find mismatched in those attributes, basically we're going to disapprove your products because it's not a good service for us to show products that then you go to a landing page and the information is different. So basically we're going to disapprove those products. And we have to ensure that these two always match the data feed with the website. Also, please, there's a thing that a lot of agencies don't like to supply for example, the unique product identifiers because they're not mandatory for every product, the JTINs in this case. You should because they're really important. These three attributes, unique product identifier, global product category, and title description, are the ones that matter the most to match the queries of the users with their actually product data. So if you want good CTRs, if you want exact matches between what the customer wants and what you have to offer, you have to always fill these attributes and in a correct way. This is very important. About brands, is not a part of the but brand normally is included on the title, so it will be indexed also by the title. Yeah, but it's really important, especially on apparel, because on apparel is actually mandatory. So there are just for you to understand, there are kind of different requirements between our countries because they're in basically that is explained because they're in different maturity states because some were launched long time ago. For example, these new countries are only being launched now. So for example, for all products, we have those attributes that I mentioned a few moments ago, like ID, title, description, price. link, those are mandatory, are universal for every single country. But then we have like difference, for example, certain categories have different requirements. For example, what I was saying, apparel is required to have brand. Not all the products are required to have brand. And then there's like clothing has to have like gender, age, color. Not every product needs that, but you have to go to the help center and see for which product category what are the required attributes, because it actually depends on the business model and what you're selling. Then we have like specific countries. This is the one that is most related to the maturity state of the countries. For example, shipping and tax, it's already very evolved in countries like the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, and France. But for example, here in the new countries, it's not a problem for now. You can just ignore these things. But just bear in mind that whatever exists on other countries will eventually come to your countries also. Just bear in mind that. And then we also have the recommended ones. In the Merchant Center, you'll see a lot of warnings about recommended attributes and recommended changes that you need to do on your attributes. And basically, we only put those recommendations for attributes that actually impact your performance. If it's an attribute that we actually don't care a lot, we won't show warnings. So whenever you have a warning, you should obtain for the goal that eliminate all the warnings that you have inside your Merchant Center. Um, I already mentioned that there are some attributes with standard values. You cannot customize them. You have to fill them as they are on the help center. And these are the most important. Condition and availability, because they're mandatory for every single product, and you have to use it with those values that you're seeing now on the screen. Also very important, adult attribute. This was created basically because there are a lot of merchants that sell adult items, for example, lingerie. Sometimes it's considered adult. And in the back days, you used to have to tick a box on your settings of your merchant center saying that everything that you are submitting on your data feed is non-familiar safe, which is not very positive for the merchant because that reduces the traffic a lot, because that allows only the people that have the safe search on their Google setting activated to see those products. If you don't have the safe search, those products won't be shown. For example, for people that are underage and have Gmail, they won't also see those products. So we created this adult attribute because normally, even if the merchants have adult products, not their entire inventory is adult. So with this attribute, you can just add to the item saying like adult true, and then you can put just, for example, you have 20% of your inventory as non-familiar safe. You just add this attribute to that 20% and the other products should be fine. Just so you make sure that you don't reduce the traffic for every single product. Identifier is also very important. Identifier was created for the products that don't have JTIN. So if you don't have a unique product identifier, sometimes you're making customizable items and you want to sell them on Google Shopping. So it's fair, it's not registered globally. So we just have to submit this attribute identifier is to true. I must warn you that we actually check for if you're submitting this item in a correct way, because a lot of people try to cheat the system and put identifier exists for every single product, so they wouldn't bother with the JTIN. And your products are going to be disapproved, and probably your account is also going to be disapproved if you overuse this attribute. So these are the JTINs that I was talking about, the unique product identifiers. In this case, it will be the EN because we're talking mainly about Europe. That will be a 13, 14 digit numbers. Please don't confuse with manufacturer part number. Manufacturer part number is more of an internal code that companies give to their own products. For example, Apple would use like Apple, then iPod 0 point something, whatever. This is not a JTIN. A JTIN is a 13, 14 code that is globally known to represent that item. An MPN is just an internal number that the company gives to identify their product. So Google product category. I know that this is kind of a pain point for people that are starting with Google product category because basically humongous and you're not very familiar with that. But this is really important to match the your product data with the queries of the merchants, because if you put the right product category, it already makes sure that your items are only going to be flagged for ads when people actually look for these on search. So please make sure that you're really specific. A lot of people, instead of, as we see here, putting sporting goods, outdoor recreation cycle, they don't even bother. They put sporting goods. I can tell you that that is basically the same as not having nothing, because that keeps your query so broad that you'll compete against a giant universe, and the probability of winning that auction is really, really small. And the CTRs for that are really, really small. Titles. Please use keyword-rich words on your titles, but don't abuse it. Be aware that there's a truncation rule on the titles. You'll only be able to show 24 characters on your titles of your PLAs. And please make sure that you put the keyword-rich first. For example, we noticed that people normally, they search by brand, because in an ideal world, people would know what they're going to buy and they would put the specific name of the item. That will never work, because if you go on a search engine comparison, you just want to find products that are like that are what you're looking for. So you're going to put a brand or a type of product first to begin your search. So we advise for to put brand first, product type then, and then maybe some characteristics that can distinguish that product of yours from others, like color, texture, whatever. But just don't put too much information on that, because you have description for that and you have a really big limit on description. You can go wild there. Don't go wild on the titles, please. And also remind that we don't accept block capitals. You'll be flagged for that. Keyword stuffing, like please don't put every keyword that is related to cell phones if you want to sell cell phone, because that will be flagged also. And promotional text, it's not allowed on the title also. You'll have a promotional text that you can add on the campaign side that will also appear on the bottom of PLAs. You shouldn't add this on the title. Images. This is really important because this is so basic that sometimes merchants and agencies tend to forget this. It's really important to have nice quality images. Our recommendation is 800 by 800 pixel dimensions. And please avoid promotions, watermarks, text in text in images, because we have a Google bot that search for it. And as long as we find something unusual on your product image, it will be flagged, it will be disapproved. We only want like clear pictures of your product with a nice context, not too many colors. These will be always the pictures that will appear the most on the PLAs. Policies. I'm not a policy specialist. We work with a policy team that supports us on this side. I just want to warn you, please have a look at this. It's really important to start well on Google Shopping, because you don't want to start with a wrong history. History as a as an impact on the way you win your auctions. And if you start your history with I don't know, 50% of your inventory disapproved, that will go bad for you, because that will create bad history, bad relevancy for your products, and you'll have to bid much higher to win the auctions of PLAs. Please have a look at this webpage. It's pretty straightforward also. So, just for you to get familiar with this, with the interface of Merchant Center, to create a new data feed, you just have to click there where the arrow is pointing. You have three options to submit your data feed. Actually, you have four, but these are the three that we support at the moment. Direct upload, where it's basically a manual upload, where you'll upload whenever you want. Automatic upload, that basically is when you give the directory of your data feed, and Google is going to fetch your data feed on the frequency that you want. Basically, if you put it daily, every day at 6 a.m., at 6 a.m. every day, we're going to crawl the data feed and update your information. FTP is basically the same as direct upload, but a little bit more tech savvy, and it's for feeds that are bigger than 20 megabytes. So manual upload is pretty straightforward. You just press there, choose your file. In a few hours, you'll have the information up there. The schedule, this is more recommended because you might forget. All your attention is not thrown to PLA, so you might forget 1 day or two to manually upload your data feed. So if you just put like daily to an hour of convenience of yours to for Fetch to go there, get your information, that is really recommended. Then there is a fourth option that is much more tech savvy, and actually my team doesn't support it at the moment. That is Content API. API is really powerful because you can actually update almost on live the product information that you have and increase your inventory also almost live instead of waiting for that few hours that I was mentioning about. Is like if you are savvy enough for this, it's really important for marketplaces, for example, because marketplaces see changes in matter of hours because they have a lot of merchants that they deal with. So if you are savvy enough to work with it, please go ahead. It's a really nice, powerful tool. Otherwise, I would refrain from it. We don't even support this. But there's the help center and the for that are actually quite useful. And inside the help center, there's a demo that you can play with just to see if you're comfortable with. And then you can make your option. And now we reach to the final phase. That will be to link the account, to link the Merchant Center with AdWords account. Just a quick warning that thing that you see on top to set up product listing ads campaign that we call internally the quick PLAs, that won't work for the new countries. That won't work because we took a decision. We're launching the new AdWords interface probably in the next 2 quarters on the new countries, and that's gonna like make your life really easy on the AdWords side, and that's the product that we're concentrating our efforts on. And the product team just took the decision of not going ahead with this because this is gonna be deprecated in a short, in a question of months anyway. So we didn't add the new countries to this tool. So it's pretty simple. You just have to go on the option number 2 and link the account with the number of your AdWords account. Troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is always handy for you to firefight a little bit. But before I talk you a little bit of troubleshooting, I just want you to keep in mind these 5 rules. Keep data feed fresh, provide clean product information, optimize product attributes, make image glamorous, and please check your feed summary and data cloud that we'll see on the next slides. If you do these 5 rules, you won't have to troubleshoot a lot. The best merchants are always the ones that don't need to troubleshoot, not the ones that know how to troubleshoot better. So this is quite handy if you're dealing with XML. This test data feed option, what it does is you can submit your data feed to be processed, but it won't be indexed to Google Shopping. So what it does is it gives you a list of all the data feed errors before you can actually submit live to Google Shopping. And that is really important on XML because it happens a lot of times. If you have an XML mismatch or an XML error, basically that will do is that everything that is after that on your data feed is not gonna appear on Google Shopping. So basically, if you have a mistake on half of your inventory on the half bottom, then the rest of the second half of your inventory won't show on PLAs, and that is really bad because you may be losing a lot of money and a lot of impressions just because of that. So for the ones that are going to use XML, this is really useful for you. Now, check always for the feed errors because whenever you submit an actual data feed, you also can go to this thing where the arrow is pointing, and if you press there, you're gonna see this. You're gonna see the general information of your data feed, saying like the type of XML that you're declaring, or if it's a TXT, saying the language and wherever. And then you have 2 categories that you're gonna look at. You're gonna look at item errors. Those are critical. Those will impede your products from being processed. you really have to correct them so your products can go live. And then you have the item warnings. These are just recommendations for your products to perform better, to be better indexed on Google Shopping. Then the data quality tab. If you go there on your left side on the tab data quality, you'll show this. It's also separated into parts, the critical errors and the suggested optimizations. Critical errors, please bear in mind that this is the most important tab of your merchant center, because critical errors on the product level are going to disapprove your products, but after you reach a certain threshold, um, I'm not able to tell you each threshold for each error because there are some errors that are more egregious than others. But mainly if you reach about 20-25% of your products are disapproved, you're going to have problems. You're going to receive a message saying your account is going to be suspended in 14 days if you don't make these changes. And after that grace period of 14 days, if you don't correct those mistakes, your account is going to be suspended. And then you'll have to go through a re-review. The quality team will see if you actually correct it or not, and if you still didn't correct, you're gonna remain suspended. Product recommendation, as I mentioned before, is the same as item warnings. It's just a way of us giving you some feedback of how to improve your data feed and make it perform better on your PLAs. I'm really happy to tell you this. This is the new data quality. You're very lucky to have this data quality tab, because this was a pain point for a while and my team actually had to fight for the revamp of this tab. And 2 weeks ago we changed for this format. It used to have like two really small lines just saying you have this issue, please go to the help center. And now, as you can see, you have a really clear detailed information about what's going on. So you have like what is the problem, you have the context over the issue, and you have a lot of troubleshooting tips to see what to do to fix these issues. So that's a really nice advantage for you for the new countries. These are just some common data feed errors and data quality errors that I put here. I'm gonna send this presentation later just so you bear in mind that these are the ones that you should look the most. Managing multiple merchant centers, this is really important for agencies. The setup in the merchant center is quite different from AdWords. There's no option to have an MCA inside another MCA. Like, there's only two levels on the merchant center. There's the parent account, then there are the child accounts, the sub accounts. These are the two only levels that we have. And the people that have the access to the parent account will have access to every single account inside that multi-client account. If you want to request an upgrade for a multi-client account, you just have to create a normal account and then request an upgrade on the help center on this link, and in a matter of 1 day, you'll get it. So, yeah.
Sorry, the child account, they still work kind of separate, they're not linked in any way to the
No,
sub account, it's still.
No, every owner of the sub account will only have access to that sub account, but the people that have access on the parent account will have access to every single account. Yeah. Please bear in mind also that whenever you gather new clients, that client may already have a merchant center account. There's not a way to convert an existing account inside your multi-client account. You'll have to request on the same link that you can see here. You'll have to request that we add that existing account to your multi-client account. This is just for legal reasons, because otherwise it would be too easy to try to steal accounts from each other in terms of competitors. So if you just enter in contact with our vendors and prove that you are that you have the authorization of that owner, will transfer that existing account to your multi-client account. Just to give you a little bit context on how the claims work. If you claim for example, the domain www.example.com on your parent account, then all your sub accounts will have the right to claim the pass with no other change. Like for example, I'm remembering now of the IKEA example. If IKEA claims on IKEA.com on the parent account, then all the sub accounts for all the other countries will be able to claim that URL without no problem. But for example, if you're an agency, you'll have a lot of different domains to claim on your sub accounts because each merchant is different. So you'll actually have to claim inside each and every single sub account that different domain, and it will have to follow that rule again. The owner of the webmaster tool claim will have to be a shared administrator on the merchant center. So we come all the way to the AdWords now. We've seen the data feeds, how the merchant center works. So we're just gonna go through the AdWords steps now. And the steps that we have to go now is create a PLA campaign. I'll show you how. Set up an all products target and an ad group. This is really important. The all products target. Most merchants trying to forget that because they already know like what are their good products, what aren't, and they just create product targets for the product types that they like the most, and then they forgot that the rest of the inventory is not being advertised. So an all products is really important, and then we'll just learn more about product targets. So to create a campaign, you just have to go inside your AdWords account and create a new campaign, search network only. Then you'll just have to click on the auto target thing and tick the all products. You give your ad group the name of all products and done. Your most important thing is done. The all products will ultimately serve as the long tail, basically to support the products that you don't have interest in. But at the beginning, your all products is basically your campaign that is most important because it will give you information about the keywords that are triggering your ads and what product type should you create. Things like that, like the information that you can get from the all products started at the beginning is really, really important. So to create additional targets, you just have to go to the auto targets tab inside your AdWords and create an auto ad product target. You can segment those product targets by ID, product type, brand, condition, AdWord labels, and AdWords grouping, as you can see in the image. So why are these targets for? Like normally merchants have like a large inventory. It's not scalable at all to create a product target for each and every single product to target by ID. That's not scalable at all. Please don't try to do that. You'll go crazy. I can tell you that. There are some merchants that try to do that. That never works. So these product targets, what they do is basically agglomerate a small amount of items that are similar in terms of product type or in terms of brand, whenever you prefer to set up your campaigns. And you'll be able to control that and manage the information of those product types much more easily than going to each product one by one. So which ones should we create product targets for? Basically should create for the ones that we see that are triggering the most ads on our side, like the best sellers, also the products with the highest margins, because sometimes your best sellers are not the ones that bring more revenue to your customer. So that should be like the initial conversation that you have with your customer. Like, what is the goal for the merchant center that you have in your mind? Like, is it to bring a lot of revenue? Is it branding? Is it to increase sales? That should be a question that you have with your merchants. Also, the return on your ad spend. If you see that the CTR is really good for a special query or something like that, just create a product target for that, because that will be handy for you to increase the bid and win even more auctions with that product. So, uh, our advice is to create an ad group for each product target. This is useful because if you go on the tab of the auto targets that I mentioned before, you'll see all the information broke down by ad group. So if you have only one product target per each ad group, you'll have the exact information of how all your campaigns are performing. Um, you should also ensure that all targets receive one impression every 14 days. I would say that even 7 days. If you see that something's going on and you've been waiting for impression and clicks for more than 7 days, use AdWords Help Center escalate to your account manager or whatever, because that means that something is wrong. Because even if you go on a quality review of your campaign, that would take 3 to 4 days. So please be aware of that. Also, if you're not very sure of the direction that you want to go on bidding, or you don't have a lot of benchmark information and you don't know which bids you should put on your product targets, you can use the enhanced CPC, which will basically make sure that every time that you're close to winning an auction, which means appearing on PLAs, it will increase a little bit your bid. And anytime that they see that your bid is not very relevant and you won't have a big shot of appearing on PLAs, it will just reduce the budget and the bid automatically. This is really good in terms of bestsellers, because this is basically the bestseller tool. It will always increase your bid with your best products and decrease your bid with your worst products. But it's not very good if you want to concentrate on higher revenue products, because higher revenue products are not always the best sellers. So you have to be careful with that and see what actually the merchant wants, if it's sales or revenue. Okay. So we have to remember always the best margin, best selling seasonally. We'll see how to target that also, and best return on ad spends. We're just gonna go through all the steps, checking a little bit the basics, and then see how to make the product targets work in your favor and in favor of the strategy that you want to set up with your merchant. So, a few basics. Please make sure that the PLA campaign that you think it's PLA, it's actually a PLA campaign. That when you create, you made that a PLA campaign, because sometimes people tend to create like different products campaign, and then they want share impressions and clicks, and basically it's just wrongly set up the campaign. Please use the filter always all products, because even if it's not an all product target, this will just make sure that you can target every single product of your inventory. If you start filtering on the campaign, then you won't be able to target in your campaign in your product targets all your items, and that will be a big mess, because then you'll see that a big part of your inventory is gone, will never appear on PLAs. Please always use the filter all products. As I mentioned before, only one product target per ad group, only one all products target per merchant center. Don't create a lot of all products targets, because you're basically just cannibalizing the traffic on one campaign to the other. And in terms of winning history and relevancy on your one campaign, you're just cannibalizing with your multiple campaigns. Please only create one all products target. Uh, Make sure that your all products target is the lowest of your bids, because the ultimate goal of your all product is just to be the long tail, the things that you don't interest in. So at the beginning is really important, but when you create a lot of product types, make sure that they're higher than the all product, because otherwise this won't work. If your all products has a higher bid, the higher bid will always win, which means your product types are not gonna work. So a little bit, just a basic table for you to understand. This is pretty straightforward. You just look at the return on investments of, for example, professional bikes and cruiser bikes. Those are the highest. So what this merchant did was just to create a product type equals bicycles professional, and he put the highest bid, because he just followed the rule of return on investment on this case. This is pretty simple. And you can notice that she put the everything else, like the long tail, that he doesn't actually care about, on the old products, because he already had experience and he set up his campaign on like the most comfortable way for him. Search query reports. This is really important. When you go on inside the product tire, you can always, there's an option that you have on top of it saying see terms. And those terms are the queries that are triggering your ads on search. Those are really important, because there's a rule that my team created that is, if one keyword is having more than 20% of your clicks and impressions, you should create a product target for that one, because it means that it gets too much relevancy inside that ad group. And it means that it's basically your star inside the ad group, and you have to give it individual attention. So if you see that some keywords are performing much more better than others, just create a product target for that keyword, and you'll see that you have much better results. Uh, Please leverage what's working against what you saw you would work. Please look at the search terms, look at how you're receiving impressions and clicks, because sometimes you know the business model, you have a lot of information, you know what it works like on the outside world, but e-commerce is a totally different environment. So please bear in mind that if you're having a lot of impressions, CTRs, conversions, you have to give the relevancy to that product that it deserves, not only the ones that you know that are already good and that work on the outside world. And also, if you're noticing that you're receiving a lot of irrelevant queries, it can happen because the algorithm keeps getting more smart and it's just learning. Please add that as a negative keyword because you don't want unnecessary costs. If you're selling bikes and you see that Nike shoes is triggering your bicycles ad, please add Nike shoes as a negative keyword, and your ad will never show up for Nike shoes again. That is really important to reduce the costs. So if you look at the example on your right, basically what the merchant did, he went to his old products and he saw the top queries for that month. And basically you can see that Shimano appears at least 2 times, and mountain bikes also. So what he understood from this was like Shimano is getting a lot of attention, so I'll probably give more attention to that. So he just created a product type equals gears and brand Shimano. So he'll be able to control and manage that part of the inventory that is being really successful much more carefully now. Okay, so we talked about the top performance already, but let's talk a little bit also to the strategic picture. Uh, I put here brands because sometimes you might have merchants that are not interested on sales and on revenue. They just want to be present on the market because they're really big merchants. And in terms of branding, is really important for them to be in PLAs next to their competitors. So please make sure that you're going to the right queries with them, you see terms for them, make a little bit of benchmark of their competitors, and just make sure that the customer is there. It's not because sometimes the strategy is not to make money or sales, it's just branding, a branding strategy. Also, if you use AdWords label, that's like the most important attribute of your data feed, and that's the most customizable that you're ever gonna get. You can have up to 10 different values on your AdWords label. And that's really important because, for example, normally on your homepage, you always have those products that appear immediately for the customer. That would be really important to have a special product target for those because those are the ones that the customer gets first when he goes to your website. So you probably want to create like an AdWord label saying homepage for those 7, 8 products that show on your initial page. And you put a really aggressive bidding because you know that it's going to receive a lot of attention, and these are the products that you want to show more to get you more money. Another example, Christmas is coming. There are some products that are more adapted to Christmas than others. You want to create a campaign for Christmas. So on the AdWords label, you create another value saying Christmas for those products that you think are going to be best sellers, or the ones that you want to bet more because they are the ones that are going to bring you more revenue. So on those, I don't know, 100 products that you feel that are going to be the ones that are going to perform better on Christmas, just put an AdWord label saying Christmas, and then you create a product tag saying AdWords labels equals Christmas. And then like that's very customizable. On the next month, you can already make like a January sale and add another AdWords label. You can always change this, and the way AdWords label was set up is to be that customizable to allow you to make all these promotions and play with the strategy of your customer. Let me just say, product launches are really important also for this, especially. Oh, sorry. I didn't. Yeah. Yeah. Which product has been sold? No, not at the moment. Yeah, you'll be able to see with the shopping campaigns that are the product that we're gonna launch in the next quarters. At the moment, no. By ID, no. No, but you're gonna see the queries that are gonna trigger it, and normally the queries will direct you to the product that is appearing the most, because it's gonna be like Nike shoes, X and Y and Z. You'll see by the search terms. Yeah, but at the moment there's no dropping down by ID. Yeah. Just wanted to make another point. Like product launches, for example, in informatics is really important. For example, your merchant is gonna launch a new two new phones this week, and then you want to create a really high bid, high budget campaign for just those two products that are gonna be launched. So you just put on the advert label, I don't know, November launch, weekend launch, whatever, and you just control those two. You target advert label equals November launch, and you just put a high bid, high budget to make sure that it's going to be successful on that launch. So just to make my point about what I said about the data feed attributes and how to structure your campaigns, on like an ideal world, every customer would be like this. Like you would look for the BMC 10.6A women's road bike, but like on the real world, it only works as a like a broad query that then you're gonna funnelize. You're gonna start with women's bike, you're gonna see a couple of bikes, then maybe you're gonna see a brand that you're gonna like more, and you're gonna go that way. So that's why it's so important to match the queries to your products. The more information that you give us, the most relevant the result will be. And this will lead you to better results, because if you just show up for every single auction, yeah, it might be good for impressions and clicks, but that's gonna give you a lot of cost and maybe not so good results. So basically, this pyramid just summarizes what I was saying in terms of segmenting your campaigns. ID bidding should be only to like your star products, those products that you feel that are really important to you, because that's not scalable at all to product target by ID. So you should only do that for a few. Then create a few AdWords labels campaigns for the top performance, for the highest margins, high value. Then you can actually also create just a category, product type campaigns, just control your inventory in a easier way instead of putting everything on the all products. And then just the long tail would be on the all products side. But that's like when a AdWords account is already optimized, not at the beginning. The all products is really important at the beginning. So here I have just two examples to talk about the margins that I was mentioning about and the different strategies. Because if you look at the first example, it's really straightforward again. It's just it goes by the return on investments and increases bid as the return on investment increases also. But if you look on the second example, the customer didn't follow that rule, and I can tell you why. Because he put the best seller of the segment that is creating with a lower bid. Perhaps I can tell you a lot of reasons for that. Perhaps that's like a really low margin item that is like a bestseller, is good for his branding, but it's not good for the revenue that he brings at the end of the month. So basically, he's gonna put a higher bid on the higher revenue product, because sometimes maybe you sell half of the items that you're selling with your best seller with those high revenue items, but like the margin is like 200 euros, 500 euros, and those are really important for the revenue at the end of the month. So you should stick to your strategy and don't always go after the best seller, because the best seller is not always the one that brings you more revenue and conversion. So talking a little bit about budget, because I've been only talking about bidding, and this is the actual problem that every budget is limited. You should always reallocate the budget from the lower priority, which means the long tail, to the high priority, the ones that you really want to concentrate on. You should break the high traffic, refers to the part that I was talking about, the search terms. go to your search terms, see the ones that are most relevant, create prototypes for that, and then concentrate your budget on those that actually matter, not on the long tail. As you can see here, this is just an example, like in terms of spreading your budget. You have like the start, the professional bikes, you just put more than 50% of your budget on it. Then you actually have another product type that is actually nice and gives you some results. You just put $100 on that. And then the long tail should be like the least part of your budget, just to give you information. It's just there. It just gives you presence on the market, but it's not your main concern. So just to recap a little bit, data feeds. Please submit all the required attributes. That's really important, even the recommended ones. If you want to stand out for your competitors, please go to the recommended ones. Don't forget that your competitors are going to do the same. So if there isn't no one standing out, it's just a matter of bidding wars, and that's not very good also for the product and for the customers. If you're a beginner, please start slow because it's really important to start well on Google Shopping. There's like three main factors that will impact your bidding chances. That will be history, relevancy of the query, and your bid. So if your history is bad because you have a lot of disapproved products, you have a lot of missing attributes, that's already bad. It already puts you in on the bottom of the auction, and your bid will have to be really high to win the auction. So to save you money, just bet on quality, and you'll need like a lower bid to get there. In terms of AdWords campaign, please make sure that your AdWords campaign is PLA, is not set up for a different product. Don't never forget of an all products target. Don't create your product types and then forget of the long tail. Use only one prototype per ad group. That's much cleaner for you to look for all the information. And please just ensure that all targets are working. If they don't receive impressions, just escalate to the support. So now I'm open to questions from you.